Something may be about to shake Genoa City in a way nobody expected, and if it happens, several lives could change all over again. A familiar face from the past may soon return just as old wounds, broken trust, and dangerous emotional connections are starting to rise back to the surface. But if Avery Bailey Clark walks back into town now, could she save Phyllis from disaster or completely destroy the fragile balance between Nick and Sharon? The young and the restless fans have been talking more and more about the possibility of Avery Bailey Clark returning to Genoa City, and honestly, it is not hard to understand why viewers are getting excited. Over the years, this show has introduced many characters, but only a few left behind the kind of emotional impact that Avery did. Even though she left back in 2015, many longtime viewers still remember the complicated relationships, emotional confrontations, and romantic drama that surrounded her time on the show. And now, with Phyllis heading into what could become another serious legal and personal crisis, the timing suddenly feels very interesting. As viewers already know, Phyllis is expected to fire Michael Baldwin during the week of May 18th through May 22nd. That decision alone could create major consequences. Michael has often been one of the few people capable of helping Phyllis navigate dangerous situations, especially when her emotions start taking control. So the moment she cuts him loose, fans immediately begin wondering who could possibly step in next. That is where Avery enters the conversation. For newer viewers or anyone who may need a reminder, Avery Bailey Clark is Phyllis Summers' younger sister, but Avery was never simply Phyllis' sister. She brought her own strong personality, intelligence, and emotional fire into every scene she was part of. Avery was also a lawyer, which makes this possible comeback feel even more believable and connected to the current storyline. And let's be honest here, Phyllis desperately needs help. No matter how hard Phyllis tries to stay in control, her life has been filled with chaos, emotional reactions, impulsive decisions, and messy fallout. That is part of why fans love her character. She is unpredictable, passionate, and fiercely protective when it comes to the people she cares about, but those same qualities also get her into trouble again and again. Now imagine Avery returning specifically to represent Phyllis legally. At first glance, it might sound like the perfect setup. After all, Avery is smart, experienced, and emotionally connected enough to understand how Phyllis thinks, but that is also exactly what could make this situation so explosive. These two sisters have never had a calm and easy relationship. There has always been tension beneath the surface. Old resentments, painful memories, personality clashes, and emotional misunderstandings have followed them for years. Even when they tried to support each other, conflict was never far away. That complicated history is exactly why so many fans think this storyline could become incredible soap opera drama. Because Avery would not simply tell Phyllis what she wants to hear. She would challenge her. She would question her choices. She would likely force Phyllis to confront uncomfortable truths about herself. And Phyllis rarely responds well when someone pushes her too hard. That alone could create powerful scenes between the sisters. Imagine heated arguments behind closed doors. Imagine Avery trying to build a legal strategy while Phyllis keeps letting her emotions interfere. Imagine old family pains suddenly rising back to the surface during moments that are already emotionally intense. For long-time viewers, this kind of emotional storytelling is exactly what many feel the show has been missing lately. In fact, some fans online have openly said that the writers already struggle to properly handle the current characters, so adding more people might only create more problems. That concern is understandable. Soap viewers become deeply attached to characters they have followed for years, and they want meaningful emotional development instead of random distractions. But Avery is different. She is not some completely new person entering Genoa City out of nowhere. She already has emotional roots tied deeply into several major characters. That gives her return real story potential instead of feeling forced. And the biggest emotional complication might not even involve Phyllis. It could involve Nick Newman's. Avery and Nick shared a serious romantic history before she left town. Their relationship had passion, connection, heartbreak, and emotional complexity. Even after all these years, many fans still remember the chemistry they shared together. So if Avery returns now, there is almost no chance that history stays buried forever. That immediately creates another problem for Sharon Newman. Because Sharon and Nick have one of the most complicated romantic histories in daytime television, no matter how many times they separate, reconnect, struggle, or move forward, there always seems to be an emotional pull between them. Fans have watched their relationship rise and fall again and again over the years. So what happens if Avery suddenly walks back into Nick's life during a vulnerable moment? That possibility alone creates enormous suspense. Right now, Nick is dealing with serious personal struggles, including his drug addiction. Before any romantic future could realistically happen, Nick would need to get himself together emotionally and mentally. He would need to fight through his current issues and regain control of his life. But soaps love redemption stories. And viewers especially love redemption stories when romance becomes part of the emotional reward at the end. So it is very easy to imagine a future where Nick slowly rebuilds himself while Avery becomes part of that healing journey. The emotional familiarity between them could return, old feelings could resurface, shared memories could reopen emotional doors neither one expected. And if that happens, Sharon could find herself watching from the sidelines once again. That emotional triangle alone could fuel months of storyline material. Would Sharon become jealous? Would she try to hide her feelings? Would Nick realize he still has unresolved emotions for Avery? And perhaps most importantly, would Avery even trust Nick again after everything that has happened in the past? These are the kinds of emotional questions that keep soap opera audiences invested day after day. There is also another interesting detail that has caught the attention of some viewers recently. Avery's ex-husband, Joe Clark, shares the same last name as Matt Clark. Naturally, fans have started wondering whether the show could eventually reveal some kind of family connection there. At this point, it remains only speculation. Nothing has been confirmed. Still, longtime soap fans know that family secrets and hidden connections are always possibilities in this genre. Sometimes the smallest detail can eventually turn into a major reveal months later. Even the simple idea of a possible Clark family connection has already sparked curiosity among viewers who enjoy piecing together clues and predicting future twists. And honestly, that kind of fan engagement is valuable for any daytime drama. Another major reason people continue discussing Avery's return is Jessica Collins herself. Many viewers still remember her performance very fondly. She brought intelligence, emotional depth, confidence, vulnerability, and strength to Avery in a way that felt natural and believable. Some actors simply leave a lasting impression on audiences, and Jessica Collins clearly did that during her time on the show. That is why many fans would absolutely love to see her return personally. At the same time, enough years have passed that some viewers might also accept a recast if necessary. In daytime television, recasts happen all the time, especially when producers believe a character still has strong storyline value. What matters most to many fans is whether the emotional core of the character remains intact. And Avery definitely still has emotional value within this world. She connects directly to Phyllis. She has history with Nick. She could immediately affect Sharon emotionally. She brings legal experience into an active crisis storyline. And she already has unfinished emotional business throughout Genoa City. That combination makes her far more useful than simply introducing another brand new face with no meaningful ties to the canvas. Interestingly, many fans online seem divided between cautious optimism and frustration. Some viewers worry the writers may not fully handle such a strong comeback correctly. Others feel the show desperately needs familiar characters with emotional depth instead of constantly trying to create excitement through temporary drama. But one thing is clear. People are talking. And in soap operas, conversation matters. When fans begin debating possible returns, imagining future confrontations, and emotionally investing in potential relationships before anything has even happened yet, that means the storyline idea already has power. It also says something important about nostalgia. Longtime soap audiences often develop deep emotional connections to certain eras of a show. Characters like Avery remind viewers of storylines that felt emotional, layered, and relationship-driven. Bringing someone like that back can create excitement not only because of the character herself, but because of the feelings associated with that time period. For many viewers, especially longtime fans, that emotional familiarity matters. There is comfort in revisiting unfinished stories. There is excitement in watching old relationships collide with present-day problems. And there is always suspense in wondering whether people who once loved each other can ever truly move on. If Avery does return, the emotional balance in Genoa City could shift very quickly. Phyllis may think she is simply hiring a lawyer, but she could end up reopening painful family wounds she thought were buried long ago. Nick may believe he is focused only on fixing his own life, but seeing Avery again could awaken emotions he never fully resolved. And Sharon may suddenly realize that the past is not as far behind her as she hoped. That is what makes this possible storyline feel so rich with potential. It is not just about legal troubles. It is not just about romance. It is about emotional history crashing into the present at exactly the wrong time. And those kinds of stories often become the most unforgettable ones in daytime television. Right now, nothing has officially confirmed Avery Bailey Clark's return, but the conversation surrounding her comeback continues growing stronger among fans. The possibility alone has already created excitement, debate, nostalgia, and emotional speculation throughout the Y&R audience. And honestly, it is easy to see why. Avery's return would not feel random. It would feel personal. It would immediately impact several core characters at once. It would bring emotional conflict, family tension, romantic complications, and legal drama all together inside one storyline. That is classic soap storytelling. So now the big question remains the same. If Phyllis truly cannot get the charges against her dropped, will she turn to Avery for help? And if Avery walks back into Genoa City, will she save the people she once loved or completely change their lives forever?